Is it comfortable for you? Okay. Hello and welcome. Welcome to Law Talk with Ethel Mitchel. If you were listening before, welcome back. I want to welcome everyone who's listening throughout the world over the internet on WOLDCnews.com, lawtalkwithethelmitchell.com, and live also over 1450 AM, 95.9 FM, the TuneIn app, and the Law Talk app. The Talk Radio 1450 app. Welcome. I'm attorney Ethel Mitchel, your host, and we have a great program for you today. You know, many of us have seen stories of young people, especially young men, who get caught up in the justice system, the criminal justice system. But seldom do we hear from them. Seldom do we hear what attracted them to it, what it was like, and what the consequences of their actions were. So I want to welcome my guest, Mr. Garhett Adams, who is brave enough to come forth and say what he experienced, what your life was like. Garhett, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, really, because we want to know from you. We want to hear from you. So often we don't hear. And a lot of young people are like him in that they're very articulate, they're very smart, you know. And so as old folks, you know, we want to know what was in your mind, boy, when you did all these things. So I want you to talk to us. Let me tell you a little bit about Garhett. He is a son of a doctor and a minister. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So you knew better?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And you were salutatorian of your high school? Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you're smart too?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So talk to me about what enticed you into crime. How did it start?
In order to go into how it started way before I did my first crime.
Okay.
You seldom wake up salutatorian of your class, graduating with highest honors in the National Honor Society, and decide the next day, oh, I'm going to go commit a crime.
Okay.
These things are progression. These things happen over time. And where it starts is usually with some underlying issue. For me, I had really low self-esteem issues.
Even though you had all these honors and so on like that?
I did. And, you know, I had really low self-esteem. I wanted to be the popular kid. I wanted to be the one kid that everybody liked. I wanted to be the kid that got all the girls. You know, you always see on TV the one popular kid. It's usually the jocks or the guys that play sports and whatnot. And so I wanted to be that guy. I wanted to be liked because I needed something to make me feel better than I did, because I didn't like who I was. And even though my parents tried to reinforce, you know, as a young child, you know, you figure, oh, that's just what my parents are supposed to say. They're my parents. You know, but when you go to school and you're being made fun of and you're being called names and, you know, you're being told that you don't look a particular way, you know, those things leave an impression on your mind. And so I always wanted to be liked. And not to mention, you know, I got picked on a lot as a child. And so that played a part in it as well.
Okay.
And I think one of the most important things is compromise. And the reason I say that is because there are a lot of things that people will say, oh, I'll never do that. I'll never be there. I'll never do this. And once you begin to compromise on those things that you say that, oh, I'll never do, it makes it easier to compromise again.
Okay, so be specific. What do you mean? Tell me how. You're listening to Law Talk with Ethel Mitchel. We're talking to a young man who, in spite of coming from a wonderful family, decided to try the life of crime, to get himself involved in it. So give me a specific instance of where it started. We say compromise. Talk to us about that, because we really want to know.
Well, growing up, my parents had always told me that, using drugs was wrong. Using drugs was something that you shouldn't do, and I knew better. But, through listening to the certain music I was listening to, I'd always heard them talking about getting high and using weed, using marijuana and things like that, and I knew I shouldn't. But I had some friends one day who were going out to smoke. They were going out to get high, and they invited me to come with them. And I knew I shouldn't. But there was just something in my mind. I said, I always wondered what it would be like to be high. And so I compromised on that one issue, not knowing that one compromise was the start of my downfall. Because I compromised there, and I said, well, I'm going to just do it this one time, just to see what it's like.
Okay.
And then the problem was, and this is just being 100% honest, I liked it. That was the problem, is I liked it. And so...
So you like getting high?
I did when I tried it.
Okay.
It seemed like a good time.
Okay.
And so that one time turned into two, that 2 times turned into 3, that 3 turned into 4, and before I knew it, I was getting high every day.
Wow. All right. Okay. This is real. This is very real. You're listening to Law Talk with Ethel Mitchel. My guest is Mr. Garhett Adams, who's being very forthcoming, and I'm glad, because we need to hear these things. We really do, because we need to understand. So, it started, you're still in school.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But you're starting to go and get high every day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and it's just marijuana.
At that time, yes, it was just marijuana.
Okay, that sounds like it got to be something else then.
Later on, yes, it did. The problem that I believe personally with certain things like marijuana especially is it's a gateway drug. Sooner or later, that's not good enough. Mm-hmm. Sooner or later, it's going to end up escalating to something else, simply because, as I said, once you compromise once, you may say, at first I had said, I'll never smoke weed. Mm-hmm. So I compromised and smoked weed. Okay. Then the next thing I said, I'll never try this next drug, or I'll never try this thing. Mm-hmm. Then you start to compromise on that. Okay. And once you start compromising your belief system and your things that you believe are wrong and start venturing into those areas, sky's the limit after that. Because you end up going to a place where you never thought you would end up. Because you say, I'll never be here. And you don't just end up jumping to that place, but what you do is it's a steady progression. I compromise on one thing. Well, okay, that wasn't that bad. So let me try this. Well, okay, that wasn't that bad. So let me try this. And it escalates further and further and further. And then till you find yourself in a place where you never thought you would end up.
Okay, so that's why the name of your book is One Choice Away.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It all starts with that first
one choice.
Okay,
all right. So you are in college.
Yes, ma'am.
You're at a Christian college, aren't you?
At the time, yes.
Yeah, all right. So, but you had friends who wanted to take you, and you started going.
Yes, ma'am.
How did it make you feel to be around these people? How did it make you feel if you don't mind me asking?
No problem. To be honest, I felt like I had achieved the popularity that I wanted.
Oh, okay.
I felt like
so they liked you.
Yeah,
they acted like they liked you.
They acted like they liked me, only while I was supplying what they liked.
Oh, you were the person with the money to buy the stuff.
Unfortunately, yes.
I want to be real. I want people to understand how it works. So you had good parents, and they had some money, and so you would buy the stuff, and you were their good friend. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what was the next thing that happened that kind of you started out getting high? Mm-hmm. But you're still going to college and you're still going to classes. Is that right? More or less. Intermittently. Once I started getting high every day, I started skipping classes a lot. And mind you, I'm in college on a full scholarship. So I have to maintain a certain GPA in order to maintain my scholarship. But school started falling by the wayside because, we're leaving out of class early to go get high. We're getting high before we go to class. Or if we decided we were skipping class and going and getting high, so school started to fall by the wayside once I started doing these things. And you knew, and you were conscious and aware that was happening?
At the time, no, I wasn't, because I wasn't even really thinking about it like that. We were just so concerned about, being in the now. being in the situation that we were in, we didn't really think about, I got to maintain a certain GPA in order to, stay on this scholarship. We were just thinking, we're going to go have a good time.
How old were you at this time?
I was about 18.
Yeah, that's about a good age to get in trouble. All right, so now, when did, if any, did it escalate? What was the next progression, as you say? Well, let me ask you something. While you were getting high, what kind of music were you listening to? Were there other people around? Were there girls around? Was it kind of a socializing thing, or did that come a little bit later?
The social part came into it because when you're doing, and this is just being honest, when you're doing wrong, you never want to hear somebody tell you you're doing wrong. Okay. And so you try to find like-minded people who are in the same mindset as you. So if I'm getting high, I'm not going to go hang around people who I know are going to tell me getting high is wrong. I don't want to hear that. I'm going to go around people who I know are going to support the same habit that I'm doing and say, hey, this is okay. We're with this. We're with you on this situation.
Yeah. So you sure don't hear your parents.
No. So this was the social circle that I began to seek, like-minded people who thought that getting high was okay, who thought that skipping class was fine, who thought that doing these activities were okay. Now the next progression that took place after that was alcohol.
Okay. So initially you weren't with people who were committing robberies or...
Oh, no.
They weren't handling guns. They weren't rough. These were probably fellow college students and so on like that. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so then you got into alcohol. Let me see something. Hold on just a moment. Gerald, we want to take a break right now? Okay, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back. Okay? Okay. We're going to take a break. Okay. You're doing really good. You really are. Where are you doing the Facebook thing at so I can announce it if people want to go on?
It's on my ministry page. Rebel Ministries. If you go to Facebook, then you type in REBAL. REBAL Ministries.
Okay.
LLC.
Like a freight
train. Okay.
Foreclosure, repossession, garnishment, tax levy,
all of my videos and
harassment.
everything.
It must be stopped. Let attorney Frank Morris stop foreclosure and creditor harassment in its tracks.
And it's live right now.
1 in 5
Okay.
homeowners in
All right.
foreclosure today.
All right. Yeah, I had somebody else to do
Morris
that.
and his staff
And,
are here for you. Call now.
I actually bought the stand and everything.
731-1000.
I never have figured out how to do it.
301-1000.
You're doing
Don't
excellent.
wait.
You really are.
Hurry and call
Seriously,
today.
you really are.
301-731-1000. Or log on to
Because if you never hear this,
Stop
you know what I mean?
foreclosure
And this is
credit
what we need to
harassment
know
today.
in order to
Attorney Frank
understand the
Morris.
mindset
Don't face it alone.
how people get
Every
sucked
business
into
needs
it,
great
you
people,
know.
and the better way to find them. Something better than posting your job online and just
different.
praying for the right people to see it.
From your
ZipRecruiter
generation, my
revolutionized
generation,
hiring. Their
is
technology
that
finds great candidates
it's-
for you. No wonder 80% of employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a
We were
quality
coming
candidate
up.
through the site in just
It
one day.
wasn't
Goodbye
as
post and
much of a
pray.
gateway
Hello
drug.
ZipRecruiter. The
You know
smartest
what I
way
mean?
to
Like,
hire.
you
Try
didn't
it for
go,
free
you
today
could.
at
Don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying there weren't people
ZipRecruiter.com/now.
that did that.
That's ZipRecruiter.com/now.
Why we didn't get in such trouble.
It's going to be a big one.
So we didn't.
The VFW at 9800
like we
Good Luck
didn't.
Road in Atlanta, Maryland presents the Moon Man Media Group Big Dinner Show and Dance. This one is for you, Mom. Greg Hill, live in-person, doing a Phonics review. Singing all the beautiful songs that you love. Reminiscing, taking you back to the good old days. Greg Hill, that red hot performer, will be doing his
about that.
Phonics review.
Different.
Also, the Lady with Soul, Lady Mary, and her indie house band, Lion and Hang Dancing.
You're doing very well. You really are.
Roger Chapman, formerly of the Damon Harris Temptation tribute band, a big Mother's Day.
Oh, my
show
pleasure,
and
really.
dance.
Yeah.
Show what a show. Mothers, you got to be there.
thinking
The
where I
real
was.
deal band.
Today's my birthday.
The Love Station band.
Are you serious?
The
No, I didn't know that.
VFW.
Oh, we have to tell you happy birthday.
I was thinking of where I was last birthday.
771. Mother's Day, May 13th.
Wow.
It's going to be a big one. This
Wow.
one's for you, Mom.
Yeah.
Well, you thought about it last
Wow.
year and you did
Good.
good. And your
You're in a whole
business is
different
still
place.
where it needs to be.
Good. That's
you realize that 95% of all successful businesses are successful because they advertise.
Well, I want you to get
smartly.
into,
And radio is one of the most effective
how you
ways to
got to
advertise
jail,
your business.
what it was like
and
to
by
be in
advertising
jail.
on WOL,
Okay.
it's a sure
Seriously,
way of increasing your business and your bottom line.
because we've got to
WOL is
de-glamorize
Washington's most
it.
listened
We've
to
got to
talk
make it
station,
real
where
for
we reach
young
loyal
people.
and dedicated consumers daily.
And the only way
By
to do that is
advertising
to
with
tell
us,
the
you
truth
have
about
the
it.
perfect opportunity to tell thousands of people about
Young
your
men got
business
these
for
big
the
egos,
very first
and so
time.
even the guys
Don't
who are
worry,
in
it's
jail,
not
when they come out, they don't
expensive,
tell the
just
truth
cost
about it.
effective. So come on and
they
call our sales department today
they may
to
say,
find
man,
out
you don't
more.
do that,
301
or something like that, but they don't
429
tell
And when you
the
call,
truth about
ask for
how
our
bad it
general
is,
sales manager,
And I'm
Karen
not saying
Jackson,
tell
and be sure
everything,
to
I'm
ask
saying
about this week's
that,
advertising special.
just
Call
not being
today,
able to see the
301
family,
429 2618. That's 301 429
You got a
2618.
message on there?
News Talk 1450 and 95.9 FM 959.
Welcome back. You're listening to Law Talk with Ethel Mitchel. My guest today is Garhett Adams, who just told me it's his birthday. So happy birthday!
Thank you so much.
Oh my
Thank you.
goodness, I had no idea. Happy birthday!
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And he also said last year this time he was in jail, so it was not such a good birthday. So I congratulate you.
Thank you so much.
Really
Thank
and
you.
truly. And thank you again for coming to tell the truth about how this stuff happens, so that hopefully we'll stop at least one person from going down this road, and we'll open up the lines of communication between the generations, because I'm sure there are other young men and young women out there doing the same thing. Their parents and grandparents wondering, what are they thinking about? And it's important first to understand so we can talk to each other, okay?
Absolutely.
So you're in college, in a Christian college at the time,
Yes, ma'am.
okay? And you're getting high every day, and so classes and grades are starting to slip, but you're only hanging out with like-minded people, as you call them.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now, and I need to say, if he is Facebook living this, is that how you say it?
Uh-huh.
This is on Facebook Live, y'all. Okay, I'm telling my age now because I don't even know how to say it right. Okay, but if you go to Facebook Live, Facebook, REBAL Ministries, LLC.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you can see him live, and you can see the interview live also. So all y'all young folks out there that are on Facebook, go on and do that. Old folks too, because this is really interesting. So let's keep going. So what's the next thing that happened that in hindsight you see was a further progression?
The further progression, that started happening when I started combining the alcohol use with the marijuana.
Okay.
Because at the time I was just getting high. I wasn't really doing any drinking, maybe once or twice at a party or so.
Did you drink before?
No.
Okay. All right.
But then I started combining alcohol with the marijuana and then compounded that, and this is by the grace of God that nothing ever happened to me, but compounded that with driving. So I would drive here and, to and fro. There is many a night right now, I still can't remember how I got home. And if it wasn't but for the grace of God, I can tell you, I don't understand how I got home. That's how messed up I was. I was high and drunk, and I would black out in the middle of the highway. I had a couple of situations where I blacked out in the middle of the street and woke up, and I'm home. And I don't know how I got there, don't know when I got there, looked out in the driveway, my car is parked sideways, and I just don't remember ever getting there.
And how long did it take in terms of time frame for you to go from your first smoke of marijuana to that stage? Just approximate.
Approximately probably about a year.
Okay.
Over
Okay.
about a year span.
About a year span. All right. So you were still in school.
Still in school.
Okay. But you're drinking, and you're drinking to, that's clearly excess, where you black out.
Yes.
And you don't know how, and you're 19 years old at this point.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Did your parents have any idea of what's going on with you?
They did. They to an extent.
Uh-huh.
They did, but they didn't know to the extent that it was. Knowing that my father's a minister and I was raised in a religious household, I knew these things were unacceptable. And so I went to great lengths to try to cover it up and try to hide, anybody that's ever used marijuana before, you put the Visine in your eyes to try to get the redness out of your eyes. You spray a little bit of cologne around to try to, mask the smell. You change your shirt, change your clothes. So, she figured, my mother and my father both figured to an extent that I was doing something, but they couldn't really put their finger on it. There were a few times, when I came home and I was just totally wasted. I was totally drunk. And, my mother let me know, if this is what you're doing, you can't stay here.
Good.
This isn't the place for you, because if you're going to be in my house, you're going to abide by my rules. And so,
did that stop you?
Surprisingly, no. No, not at all. I'm going to be honest, no.
Okay. And let me say something here if I didn't say it before. Garhett has a book out. It's called One Choice Away, and I want to recommend it to everyone. Definitely get it. He brought me a copy. It just dropped today, or is that right?
Yes,
okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
So go to Rebel with an A. Ministries.com. It's $15. And definitely I recommend that everyone get it. Okay, if you're at all interested in this subject matter, it is important for you to get this book because he's very honest about what happened and what is probably going on with quite a few of our young people. So let's continue. So you're drinking, you're getting high, and to some extent, and you're driving also regularly.
Unfortunately.
Yes. And did it stop there?
Oh Lord, it didn't. It didn't, unfortunately.
So what else happened?
And this is where the next progression came into play, because even though I was a very privileged young man, my parents were well off. My parents weren't hurting for money, in that situation, but they weren't stupid. They weren't fools by any measure. And so if they just gave me money today, a good amount of money that should have lasted me probably a few weeks. And by tomorrow, I'm asking for some more money. That's a red flag. Well, where did all that money we just gave you yesterday go? But I had spent it on riotous living, getting hotel rooms, buying alcohol, buying marijuana, and gallivanting all over the state, doing whatever I was doing. And so that is where I started to think about ways that I needed to get my own money, because mom and dad had stopped supplying the money because they figured, okay, you're doing something that's up to no good, and they had stopped my supply of money. And so I began to formulate in my mind, in my brilliant thinking, that I need to find some way to, get some money. So at first, I started just, taking things to the pawn shop, different
Oh my God, you were stealing your parents' stuff?
No, not their stuff, some of my stuff.
Your own stuff?
I was taking my own stuff and taking it to the pawn shop, getting a little bit of money to continue my lifestyle.
Back up a little bit. You said something about hotel rooms. So we're no longer in student places. You didn't got to where you have to have a hotel room?
Yeah, unfortunately, me and some of the individuals, I would have said friends, but I don't.
You're like-minded
now I don't consider
people.
that to be friends. The people I was associating with at the time, we would get hotel rooms on the weekends and things like that, and party all weekend.
I see. Okay, so girls got to be involved in this situation too.
Absolutely.
Probably. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got young men, girls, and so your ego was really. Okay, because you're the big man on campus now.
My ego is through the roof.
All right. Okay, so what did you do next?
After I got to the point where, the pawn shop money wasn't good enough, I was sitting I remember this day very clearly. I was sitting in my room, sitting on the floor. I had run out of money. I had run out of marijuana, had no gas in the car. And I was thinking, I said, I can't go ask my parents for money because I know they're not going to give it to me because, I'm not trying to tell on myself as to what I'm doing. And so I began to think, so what can I do to get some more money? I got to continue this habit, because I felt like I had achieved the status that I wanted. And so in order to maintain this status, my status was linked to marijuana, alcohol, and hotel rooms and everything else that I thought was going to give me this, continue my status.
So wait. Your status in whose minds?
In my own and what I thought everybody else thought.
Okay, so it was more important to you that you feel this big man complex thing going on.
Yes.
And that you continue to live in that way.
Yes.
Then did you ever think you might go to jail?
You know, and that is not the first time I've heard that question. To be honest, I didn't. And it sounds so foolish, but rarely as young people do we think about the consequences of what we do when we do it. We act in the now. We act in the how is this going to benefit me right now, and don't think about the consequence of what is this going to do to me a year from now, 2 years from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now, and what are the possible consequences of my actions? We don't think about that. We think about the now. How is this going to make me feel now? You know, the immediate gratification of it.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for being honest.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. This is important. We need to know this. So, what did you do sitting on the floor? What was the grand decision that you made about getting more money?
You know, and unfortunately, I sat and I thought, and I said, you know what? So I could go rob a place.
Rob? Like R-O-B, a place?
Yes, ma'am.
Lord,
that popped in my mind, and I pushed at first I pushed the thought back quickly. I said, absolutely not. There's no way I'm going anywhere to try to rob anything. You know, I had never been in trouble with the law before in my life.
For nothing.
For nothing. As far as, you know, the marijuana and the drinking, that was about as far as I had gone as far as venturing into nefarious activities. Mm-hmm. But, you know, so robbing was, to me, a whole new level to the situation. Yeah. You know, I never had stolen anything, so much less going in some place with gunpoint and trying to take some money. So I quickly pushed the thought back. But as I sat there and thought, I said, man, I need some money because I don't have any more weed, don't have any more alcohol. We're supposed to go party this weekend. I don't have any gas in the car. I was like, listen.
And you feel like you're responsible for bringing the money to be able to do all this.
It's linked to my status. Of course. I have to be the one that has it.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking, and I said, you know what? I'm going to do it this one time. And young people, if you're listening, we all know it's never one time. That one time is really just an excuse and justification to do it the first time. Because once you do it the first time, that's going to turn into two. There is no such thing as a one time. So I told myself, I'm going to just do it this one time. You know, get a little bit of money to get me started, and then I'll be okay. And
it never dawned on you to get a job, to find some legal way to get some money?
The interesting part about it, I had a job at the time. I was working at Taco Bell, but what I was doing, I was blowing my check so fast, I was spending my check at such a fast rate that I needed more money to compensate.
I see. So it didn't dawn on you to try and go get a better job?
You know, I thought about that, but then that wasn't going to solve my immediate problem. I needed marijuana today. Yeah. I needed alcohol today. Wow. I needed gas in the car today. Yeah. So even if I go get a job, pay period's not going to be for another, 2 weeks to a month. Yeah. And so I need something today.
Okay. All right. Okay. So what did you do next?
And I thought about, and this will tell you, you know, as a lawyer, of course, you're going to find this very, humorous. But me being very, very inexperienced with the law, I figured, well, if I don't have a real gun, then they can't charge me with having a gun. They can't charge me with a gun charge if I don't have a real gun.
Did you really think that?
As God is my witness, I did.
You're an otherwise intelligent young man.
Yes.
And you thought that?
This is how inexperienced with the law I was. I had never done any crime like this before. And so this was my rationale and this was my thinking. And so I didn't have a real gun on the first robbery that I went and did.
You did commit a robbery?
I did commit the robbery. I did it with a BB gun because I figured, well, this isn't a real gun, so even if they catch me with it, they can't charge me with the real gun.
Oh my God. Where did you rob? What did you do?
I found a liquor store and ended up robbing the liquor store. And I'll tell you, once again, as a lawyer, you're probably going to find this very humorous. I did it in my car.
In your own car?
In my personal vehicle.
God. Did you have a mask on your face or did you just walk in? You had
a
mask on your face?
I had my face covered.
Okay. All right. But your own car?
My own car.
Okay. Oh, wow. This is better than I thought. Oh my God. You can't make this up. This is wonderful.
And so I did the first one, and I was so scared afterwards. I said, I'm never doing this again. Went straight to my friend's house. Of course, we got high, and then went
Took
to
the
work.
money.
Yeah, and then went to work after.
And then went to work after. Okay. Let's take a break right now, okay? Because we have to take another break right now. And we'll continue this afterwards, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll continue this, yeah. This is excellent. It really is, Garhett. It really is.
This Saturday at 1:30 on For Your Soul's Sake, Dr. Vicky deals with the one thing everyone struggles with, and that's creating a balance between the many areas of your life. Sometimes we want to support others and instead end up putting ourselves on the back burner. This Saturday, Dr. Vicky is dedicated to discussing the art of creating healthy boundaries and knowing when and how to say no. Join her this and every Saturday at 1:30. Don't do it for you, do it for your soul's sake.
Especially when I start telling them how prison really is.
Yeah.
Can you remember the last time you had a great night's sleep? How you felt
You want
the
to come
next
back
morning?
next week and maybe I can have your mother on
energized,
with you?
More alive.
Next week I'm going to be in Virginia. I have a speaking engagement in Virginia.
With the new Tomorrow mattress.
But let's get you back on
leading
soon.
sleep experts at
So we can
Simmons
continue,
Bedding and
because-
delivered right to your
Because
door.
then I'd like to hear
Learn to love
the
your
parent
bed.
side.
Use promo
Every
code
15 minutes,
NAP2
see,
at
we have to take a break.
tomorrowsleep.com for $200 off when spending $500 or more at
Yeah, let's,
tomorrowsleep.com.
afterwards we'll talk about what we can
Hollywood's
get
Cottage
back on
Preparatory
soon.
Boarding School, located in Hollywood, Mississippi, is 109 years old and is the oldest of
Yeah.
three operating nonprofit.
Is it possible we can spell the website for them? Because a lot of people are going to mess that up. I know when you say Rebel.
Okay, I'll have you to spell it then.
Okay,
All
because when
right,
you say
yeah.
Rebel, I've had a lot of people do that. I can't find the site. They put it here. They put it
Yeah.
because it's an acronym actually. Rebel, REBAL, stands for Recognizing Every Burden and Alleviating the Load.
Oh my. Okay.
So that's why it's spelled like that.
Looking for a great local dentist at affordable prices and a out-of-this-world smile? At Dr. Dodson Dental Office, we offer general dentistry, same-day dentures, and referrals.
That's how inexperienced I was with the law. Really,
And it's how
I really
we've all
thought
been
that they
stupid.
can't charge me with a real gun if I don't have a real one.
Yeah.
First of all, you really don't even have to have a gun. That's what I learned now. You don't even have to have a gun for them to charge you with one. If the people think you have a gun, you're going to charge one. Oh, he looked like he had a gun in his pocket. Oh, you're getting
That's
that
all
gun
it
charge.
needs, yeah. And just having a gun expands it tremendously.
News on 1450 and 95.9 FM 959.
Okay. Welcome back. You're listening to Law Talk with Ethel Mitchel. I'm your host, attorney Ethel Mitchel. And I have as my guest Garhett Adams. I want you to spell the name of your website where your book, One Choice Away, can be gotten. Spell it for us, please.
Sure. It's REBAL Ministries.com. Now, the reason it's spelled like that, Rebel is actually an acronym, REBAL, and it stands for Recognizing Every Burden and Alleviating the Load. Okay. So that's why it's spelled like that. But the website is REBAL Ministries.com. And my book can be found on there. It's $15.
Okay, very good. Now, let's get back to this story that we couldn't make up about you having your first robbery, because apparently there were others that followed when you had a BB gun and you thought, well, they can't charge you because it's not a real gun. And you used the money right away. Okay, so you're back to being broke again. So what did you do next?
Unfortunately, like I said, there never is a one time. I thought, well, okay, let me just do this one more time and get a little bit more money. And this will really show you where the progression starts to take place, because after maybe the second or the third robbery,
oh my God,
because this continued after that. After about the second or the third robbery, then I started to think, well, okay, this BB gun isn't going to cut it anymore, because if I go in one of these stores and one of these store owners decides that they pull out a real firearm, and the BB gun is not going to serve me any purpose. So I actually went and got a Glock 9mm.
Oh my God.
With a fully loaded clip. And
where'd you find that from?
I don't know if I want to admit that on this show.
No, but I mean, just on the street. I mean, did you walk into a gun store and buy it?
No, absolutely not. It was off the street.
Okay, my good. How much money do you get when you rob folks like that?
The places, the average that I was probably getting, maybe $400, $500, $600.
That's all?
Yeah, from because I was robbing like little small places, mom and pop stores and stuff like that.
Wow, you're putting yourself on the line for $400 or $500?
Yeah. And I look back at it now, I see the stupidity of it. But at the time, and this is another example of how the progression takes place, because I told myself, well, okay, here's I'll have the real gun, but I won't keep the clip in it. So I left the clip somewhere else. I said I won't put the clip in it because I don't want it to accidentally go off and hurt somebody. I'm just really trying to scare them just so I can get the amount of money that I want to get. Then that wasn't good enough. Then on the next robbery, I said, well, okay, I'll keep the clip in it, but I just won't cock it.
Oh, my God.
Then on the next robbery after that, this is how the progression happens. Somebody had actually said something in the store that I didn't like when I came in and brandished the firearm and asked for the money. They said something I didn't like, and I didn't even think about it when I did it, but I cocked it.
Oh, shit.
And explained that, they had about 30 seconds to dish out the money that was in the register.
Oh,
and this
God.
is how things had progressed. And honestly, I do believe that had I not got arrested when I did, I probably would have ended up being in for murder.
Wow. Wow. That's stunning. So you went from smoking weed to robbing places with a Glock, whatever you call it, 9 something or the other. Wow. I'm stunned. For $400 or $500 a pop that you then immediately went and spent.
Yeah.
So you didn't even.
And at that time, I had actually quit my job because I was saying, I had figured, I said, well, I'm making my paycheck in about 30 seconds here. There's no point in me going in and working 10-hour shifts.
You were really into it, weren't you?
Well, once I had gotten into it, I was working
hard.
10-hour shifts. And so I said, there's no point in me continuing to work 10-hour shifts, and I'm making my paycheck in 30 seconds.
I see. Okay. Wow. I'm stunned. I really am. So, how long did it take for you to get arrested?
Let's see.
I mean, this hasn't been on the news and stuff like that?
No, some of them were. Some of them were on like local news.
What city is this in, by the way?
What city did the robberies take place in?
Yeah. Where were you? I mean, were you in the D.C. area?
I was in different counties. I went all over.
Oh, you went all over.
Which really did me a disservice later on. I didn't realize I was going to different counties because I wasn't thinking about that. I was just, going to these various places and robbing these places, not realizing that I'm crossing county lines and going into different counties. And so, let's see, I started doing these activities when I was 18. By 19, that was October 15th, 2012. Mm-hmm. By the time I was 19, I was on my way to class. And I was on the phone with my girlfriend at the time. And as we were talking, I saw the police lights come up behind my car. Uh-huh. And so it's only a two lane street. So there's one coming, on oncoming traffic and one going forward. And so me, along with everyone else in front of me, pulled over because we thought the officer was trying to get around us. Uh-huh. Well, no sooner I pulled over, he swerved and pulled right behind me. Then another officer came around him and came up beside my car. Another officer's car came in and blocked me in the front.
Oh, my.
All of the officers came out of the car with assault rifles.
Whoa.
Pointed at my head.
Whoa.
And screamed for me to get out the car. And this is another miracle, is that I didn't get shot, because when they told me to get out the car, I had my seatbelt on. And so I reached back to take my seatbelt off. But they didn't see that I was reaching for the seatbelt. All they saw was I was reaching back. And so I heard the officer scream out, "He's reaching back! He's reaching back! don't reach back, don't reach back. And so,
oh my God.
And so I put my hands back out the door. I said, officer, I have a seatbelt on. What do you want me to do? He was like, reach back slowly for the seatbelt. Don't make any sudden moves. And so this was right down the street from the university that I was at. So my classmates are literally passing me, watching me on the ground, getting cuffed.
Oh my God. Because you were still going to college while you were robbing. Oh my God. Did your girlfriend know about all this stuff?
To some extent, but not really.
Not really, yeah. Okay.
And I didn't even find out till recently because, we spoke once I got released, and she said, I heard all of that. I had thought that I had hung up the phone, but she was still on the phone and had heard the officer when they were screaming, get out the car, get out the car, get on the ground. She was listening the whole time and heard all of it.
Oh my God, I bet it scared the daylights out of her.
It did. She said she almost passed out when she heard it.
Oh my God. Okay, so they get you out the car, or you get out of the car, and what do they do?
They immediately put me on the ground. They cuffed me, had me sitting on the curb. They brought the dogs to come and search my car and to go through my car. One of my father's pastoral colleagues actually was outside. He was around the area, and he saw me, and he was trying to walk over to me, but the officers wouldn't let him. And I just yelled at him. I said, call my father, call my mother, let them know what's happening. And so, and as my mother's listening right now, I know this is probably hard for her to
yeah, her eyes have been big looking at me because I'm looking at her through the window. I can't even imagine this. My God.
He called my mother and father and told them and said, guys, they got your son. They have your son. They have him on the ground and he's in cuffs.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
And my parents got in the car and rushed down to where I was, but by the time they got down there, they were already putting my car up on the tow truck to take my car away.
Wow, wow.
And I was gone.
And you were gone.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you mean when you say you were gone?
They had taken me to the station already.
Okay.
They had taken me to the station.
So your parents rushed down, and you are already gone.
Yes.
What happened next? So they put you in the back of a squad car?
Yes, ma'am. They put me in the back of the squad car. And the interesting thing was, and see, like I said, I wasn't paying attention to going to different counties. But at this time, where they arrested me, I was in PG County. Or no, I was in Montgomery County when they arrested me.
Okay.
And the officer said, I was like, where are you guys taking me? They said, well, we're trying to figure out if we're going to keep you or if PG wants you because you got charges in both.
Oh, Lord.
I said, charges in both? They said, yeah. They said, we got you on too. They said, we don't know how many they got you for.
So they had been tracking you. They had found you.
They had been tracking me.
And you didn't even know. You thought you were getting away.
Yep, thought I was getting away scot-free. Thought everything was good. But they were onto it. They were onto the situation. And the officer told me, he said, I have a search warrant for your house. He said, I'm going to raid that thing up and down.
Is that your parents' house you were living at? Oh, my God.
He said, I have a search warrant. I'm going to your house today. He said, I'm going to tear that house apart.
Oh, my God. And your daddy is a minister and your mama is a doctor.
Yes, and I know I apologize to my mother sitting here listening. I know I embarrassed them wholeheartedly because that day, the officers did come to the house and they ransacked my room.
Well, thank God, just your room. But I mean,
they went through everything. They went through the house. They took some of my father's property. They took a lot of stuff.
Oh, my God. We're going to have you back on and have your mother with you. So, because I want to know the parent side of this, too. Because this is very real. And young people need to hear this. They do. And we're not, oh, my God, it's almost 10 o'clock. Oh, no, we've got one more break. Can we keep going? Okay, thank you. We're going to have you get back on. Number one, we haven't even gotten into what being in jail was like. And that's important.
I would like to touch on that.
I really want you to talk about that. I really do. And so to my listeners, you've been listening to Law Talk with Ethel Mitchel. And we can't do next week, but in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I want you to come back on. I'm inviting your mother to come with you, and your father if he wants to. So we get both sides of what this did to, what your actions brought to you as well as what they brought to your family, because we need to know this in our community, and we need to have parents who can talk from the experience of other parents, learn from it, and hopefully their young people can learn from it too, because both young men and women this stuff is glamorized. You know, you think you were doing something hot and, you know, you were a big man and stuff, and all you're doing is really destroying your future and your family. My goodness. Absolutely. Tell us just very briefly, because we only have about 10 more minutes, what was it like to be in a police car? What was it like to go into jail? And what happened to you as a result of that? How long? Well, talk to us. I'm going to rush it a little bit because we don't have much time, and I want you to come back. But you ended up being convicted. Is that right?
Yes, I ended up being convicted of 6 armed robberies and 3 wear and carry of a handgun charges.
Holy Moses. And so how long?
In 3 different counties in Maryland: Montgomery County, Anne Arundel County, and PG County. So
you weren't even paying attention, and all of them got you. Okay, so how long were you sentenced to?
PG County sentenced me to 15 years, all suspended but 3. Anne Arundel County gave me a straight 5, and Montgomery County gave me 18 years, all suspended but 12.
Wow. You just got out of jail, didn't you?
I just got out January 4th.
Of 2018?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Okay. I want to thank you. I really want to thank you, because I think that you are educating everybody that's listening, black or white, red, brown, yellow, whatever, because we all hear and we see on the TV stories of young men and women who are involved in these activities, but we rarely hear from them as to how they got involved in this stuff and how it got to where we see them being arrested on the news. Just briefly give me an idea of what was being in jail like for you.
And I can summarize it in one word for you: hell.
Really, it's that bad?
It is that bad. And anyone that tells you otherwise, I don't know what jail they've ever been to, but it is literal hell. There are times when, and if any young people are listening, I want you to hear this. There is nothing you can tell me, nothing that you are doing out there that is worth them taking years away from your life. You literally are caged like an animal. They put you in a small 6x9 cell with another grown man, and inside that cell, you have your toilet, you have your sink, and you have everything in that cell.
The toilet is in the cell?
The toilet is in the cell.
So you go to the bathroom in the same room that you sleep in?
Absolutely, with another grown man in the cell with you.
Oh my God.
With another grown man in there.
I never even thought about that.
The food is horrible, not to mention that you literally have lost all control over your life. You have no control over your life anymore. You do what they say, when they say, and you give them any type of lip about it, you go to solitary confinement. You will comply. You will do what they say when they say it. Now, they, on the other hand, are given free license to disrespect, call you out your name and everything, but the minute you say a word back, you're going to solitary confinement. I've seen it. And not only that, but they will lie on the report and say that they didn't say what they said. You have lost all control over your life. They are in control of when you eat. They are in control of when you sleep. They are in control of when you use the bathroom. You might say, hey, I need to use the bathroom. Can you open my cell door? No, I don't feel like opening it right now.
I thought you said the toilet was in the cell.
It is, but when you come out of the cell, let's say you go into the recreation hall or you go somewhere else and you need to get back in the cell to use the bathroom, they only open it at set times. And so you say, listen, officer, I really got to go. Can you open the door? No, we're open in the next 30 minutes. Well, I got to go now. Well, that's not my problem.
Oh, my God. Wow.
And then not to mention, one of the worst things was when my parents came to visit me in the visiting hall, and God bless them both, because there was not a week that went by that they did not come and see me over the 5 years that I was incarcerated.
Really lucky. You were really lucky.
And yes, my family stuck by me and supported me, and a credit to them both. God bless both of them for it. The worst part, though, was having to watch them come in and see me. And then when they had to walk out, and I knew I couldn't go with them. And I wanted them to take me with them so bad. Because I knew the minute that when people come to visit you, you get strip searched right after. You go in a private room with the officer standing right there, and you hand him one piece of clothing at a time until you are completely naked. And they literally search every crevice. They have you lift, tuck, do whatever, and then he will tell you, turn around, bend over at the waist, and spread your cheeks and cough. And you are doing this in front of another grown man. Now, you can't tell me that anything that you are doing on the street right now is worth you going and having to go somewhere and strip naked for another grown man and have him tell you to bend over at your waist and spread your cheeks in front of another grown man while he stares at you in your birthday suit.
Wow.
You have lost all control over your life. The medical care is terrible. You know, I've seen more than one guy die from medical situations because they received less than the proper medical care in prison. You've lost all control over your life. All control. None. And it is literal, it's mental hell more than anything. Because you are trapped, you are confined. There will be times, let's say there's a stabbing or a fight in the jail and the jail gets locked down. And they lock the jail down, you will not come out of that cell for about a week. And they may give you a shower every 3 days if they feel like they want to.
Wow.
That's not even a guarantee. They deliver your food to the cell and you will not come out. And they might give you a shower every 3 days.
Oh my God.
But this is something that we glamorize and people think, oh, this is cool to go to jail. I'm telling you something right now. There is nothing cool. There is nothing enjoyable. There is nothing likable about going to prison. And anyone that tells you otherwise, that person is a blatant liar and a fool.
Very good. Okay. And you're talking from personal experience.
From personal experience, I hated every day in that cell. Hated every single day of it. To have someone refer to you as a number. I was no longer Garhett Adams in the prison. I was inmate number 431531, state ID number 3869982, cell block CB614. That was how I was identified.
Wow.
You are not a person. And I actually had an officer tell me that. The officer said, you are the property of the state of Maryland.
I've heard that expression, but I never thought of it literally like that. Wow. Wow. That's really something.
And then, let's say, because I was working in there, working in the dietary department.
Really? How much money do you make?
$1.05 a day, and I was making the high end. I made the highest pay scale, and I was making $1.05 a day. And sometimes I was pulling 10-hour shifts.
For $1.
For $1.05 a day, $30 a month. Mind you, you still have to buy toiletries. You still have to buy toothpaste. You have to buy deodorant.
They don't provide that?
Oh, absolutely not. You have to buy that yourself. So the same money that you just slaved for and worked for, they're getting it back out of you.
Wow. Okay, we've got to go to break. It may be our last, definitely is our last break, I'm sure. Yeah. So, Mr. Adams, I want you to know I'm going to have you back on.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, if you're listening out there, I will announce it next week. It will not be next week because I know you have another commitment. But in the next, hopefully, 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to have you come back on.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? I hope you all have enjoyed Law Talk with Ethel Mitchel. I'm your host, Attorney Ethel Mitchel. And I want you to continue to stay tuned to WOL. But also listen in next week and the following weeks, and we'll continue this conversation.
Absolutely. And please go and buy the book. I'm sure somebody will benefit from it. I'm sure you will enjoy it. Again, it's on rebelministries.com, REBAL ministries.com. The book is entitled One Choice Away.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Seriously, thank you. Okay. Wow. You were excellent. Really and truly.
Are you addicted to drugs or alcohol?
Thank you for sharing
Even
your
if you
experience.
think you might have a problem, call this number.